And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. Today, I actually have my good friend Taco with me. It's been a while. Last time we did this show, we actually ended up doing The Thing. So now, today, we are talking about Airheads. And we were trying to do this last year, but unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere. It's not even available on 4K. It's not available on Blu-ray. So it finally hit Hulu. So I'm like, we got to go on ahead and do this while it's hot. So without further ado, let's go on and let's throw our double horns up. Let's go on and rock out to some Lone Rangers, and let's go on with the podcast and review this movie. Yeah.
What's up?
Pumping engines.
Dude, we've never had such a turnaround for any movie review, because normally you're like, hey, we're gonna do The Thing in like 4 months, and I'm like, okay, put me down, and then it's like, oh, 4 months come by, and I'm like, that's tomorrow, and you're like, yeah, we scheduled. This was literally like, hey, want to do it? Yeah, when? Tomorrow? Let's go. Boom.
Boom. This is like the first time that we ever had our schedules in sync to where we could do something.
Well,
it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, here's my schedule, and you're like, in 2 days? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this before they actually didn't get off of Hulu.
Yeah.
But before we get into the review, I just want to mention this. I am part of Unfiltered Studios now, and you guys can go on ahead and get your hypnosis wellness while you're driving. Well, I don't recommend listening to that while you're driving, but we have hypnosis wellness. We also have the Sleepy G show. We also have other things within the Unfiltered Studios itself. So go on and check out all the people that we have here at Unfiltered Studios. Well, without further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's talk about Airheads. And hey, Keb. And Keb is also part of Unfiltered Studios. Okay. It's so he actually says it's too loud. You're too old. I say this to my kids all the time when they tell me to turn the music down in the car. It's not.
Yeah. It's a great Joe Mantegna. If it's too loud, you're too old, and he just cranks it up. And it's great because Joe Mantegna's acting. He's like, like you can tell he's like, it starts headbanging, but his face is just melting up.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
We'll get to that.
So my question is this: when was the first time that you ever seen Airheads?
I was probably 8 or 9.
Okay.
This is one of those movies that I watched really, really, really early on, and I didn't really get any of the jokes until really later on. And I remember I would say it. I'm gonna call this dude out. His name was Jake. I stopped seeing him in school like 7th or 8th grade, but I remember we hated each other because he was like jockey kid and I was like nerdy kid, and he's like Dragon Ball Z's for losers, and we're like right. And then like 7th grade, he quoted this. Like, I'm like, did you just quote Airheads? I can't remember what he said, and it was probably one of the lines I can't say anymore anyways. And after that, in like 7th grade, we became friends because we would constantly quote Airheads, because I didn't know, no one was doing that. Like,
right.
This movie came out way before.
It's like very underrated, and nobody really talks about Airheads either. And, I remember seeing the coming attractions. I remember seeing the trailers for it as a kid. But I didn't get to experience Airheads until maybe I was in my teens.
Yeah.
And then all the jokes were just landing. I was cracking up laughing with Adam Sandler. This is Adam Sandler.
Good. Like premium Adam Sandler, yes. Premium Farley. You can even spot Adam Sandler's like entourage hidden in here. Like, I wondered if they just met because one of the extras who plays a cop later on was like the caddy later in, Happy Gilmore, and then the dude from Grandma's Boy, I can't remember his name, but he's one of the Happy Madison dudes. And it's like so fun to like see these little things like that.
This little shared Happy Madison shared universe come together in a sense.
Yeah, but it was like pre-Happy Madison.
Happy Madison. Right.
I think Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison probably just came out, but like, it wasn't like, Adam Sandler wasn't Adam Sandler yet. Like, he's not even the lead in it. That's
no.
And dude, if you didn't know this movie existed, if I told you there was a Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, Adam Sandler movie, you'd be like, what fever dream are you talking about?
Exactly. Especially Academy Award winner Brendan Fraser now.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's just fantastic.
At least got something, right?
Right?
He's
so,
fantastic.
So here we go, guys. All right, buckle up for a time traveling journey back to the 90s where neon colors were cool, slap bracelets were a fashion statement, and airheads weren't just candy. They were a way of life. Welcome to our nostalgia packed podcast episode where we're unwrapping the sweet memories of 1994 and the cinematic masterpiece known as Airheads. It's the era of grunge, the reign of dial-up internet, and the birth of some questionable hairstyles. Get ready to relive the madness, the music, the mullets, and the on this Airhead Rewind, where the candy was sweet and the movies were even sweeter.
There you go.
So
There
here
you
we
go.
go. So Chaz, huh?
Okay. I wanna jump in right away.
Okay, let's do it.
So what I love about I'm going to talk about music immediately because
Mhm.
we have to talk about the opening song for one. But you already mentioned grunge. What I love about this movie is it is 90s rock that isn't grunge. They're
Right.
like even say like you really listen to that Seattle bullshit. Like there's even a lot where it's the speed metal Motorhead
Ed.
rock of the day, like your crowbars, like I feel like this genre, this era of rock that's somewhere between like 80s hair metal, because this was not 80s hair metal,
No.
and grunge it's like disappeared now, like it's gone. But I love this movie because it's like that little snapshot right in between like lame rock and awesome grunge. I'm not gonna I'll call 80s hair metal lame, but I just love it because it's this like weird little moment where Lemmy is God, and it's so special. And speaking of Lemmy, lead singer of Motorhead, the opening song is Born to Raise Hell
Hell.
by Motorhead featuring Ice-T, which is such like this is how you start a movie. Like it's this weird stop motion beginning, and it starts with like
It really
oh my
gets the
god.
crowd going, even in the movie theater. It actually feels like you're in this concert kind of feel to it, this vibe. And you're already getting what you know what you're getting. And that's something that I really like because I found myself bobbing my head on the
Oh yeah.
couch, and
I
it
rock
just
out
pumps you up.
throughout this like whole movie. Like I headbang a lot when I watch this movie because it is such a like. Can you imagine if this didn't have a soundtrack? Like imagine if it was just like a movie, like there's a score or something. It's so different. Like it's almost a collection of music videos with a story in between it because there's story beats and montages with this really cool era of music that I mean I think it's super special because there just isn't another movie like this. I don't.
No, there isn't.
No.
In my opinion, there isn't. And I like how we ended up getting. Now, here's the thing: Chaz, Rex, and Pip are in Los Angeles, and they're in a middle band called the Lone Rangers. Who
Lone Ranger.
pluralizes the Lone Rangers? You're not exactly alone.
You lost me. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. I love that they don't get the joke because it would be a clever name, but they don't get that it's clever.
I love it. I love that slapstick of it. It's just very comical coming from Academy Award winner Brandon Fraser. It's just funny whenever he says it.
Yeah.
But who are continually turned down as they try to get their demo tape heard by producers. After scolding him for being lazy, Chaz's girlfriend, Kayla, kicks him out of her apartment. They decide to try to get the local rock station, KPPX, to play their reel tape on the air and attempt to break in through the back door. After several unsuccessful attempts, a station employee comes out to smoke, and they keep the door from shutting behind her. So the opening scene just shows you how passionate he actually is.
Yeah.
But with Chaz, he's like, he doesn't have an appointment. He just has an agenda.
So I do love the opening where it does a lot. So it's him pretending to be a delivery guy, although he's like the worst delivery guy. He's not even delivering anything. Like his hair's still going out. He ties some of it, but like there's no way he looks like he's kind of walking around all psycho.
Right. And getting and be behind the Cat in the Hat people from Dr. Seuss.
I love it. That's one of my favorite like 2 seconds is you got these guys wearing these giant Academy or giant Dr. Seuss, and you have this guy going like, all right, anarchy is good. He's like trying to prep them to meet the producers. Like, anarchy is good. They like anarchy. If you want to wet yourself, go with it. And then one of the band members goes, what do we say? And he's like, are you kidding me? Don't say anything. I just like for like a little vignette of like this crappy punk rock band trying to get going, and they're wearing these huge Dr.
It's
Seuss
like
hats.
right, exactly. It's like these the radio people are just trying to get people pumped up, and it's
Yeah.
like and it's just not working. You can definitely tell the vibe is done and it's going well for him.
Yeah,
And
so he meets freaking Judd Nelson. What's his freaking name? He meets the guy who's playing the Palatine Records dude, but he was from
right,
I usually know his name, but he was from Breakfast Club. And I can't, it's killing me that I don't know his name top of my head. But anyways, and he tosses him out. And then I love the introduction between him. So we're meeting everybody through his eyes. So we meet his girlfriend first. They're clearly like like explosive, like they're very passionate and freaky outy right away. And when I grew up, I always thought that was Christina Applegate until I got older and I realized it wasn't. But when I was a little kid, I thought it was. But like I said, I watched it way too young. And then like everything we watch, then we meet his band and they're working at a kid's store and they're just stealing everything.
right. But
Yep.
I want to back up a little bit though with the whole entire thing where he just has an agenda, like I said before, where he just wants this record deal so badly to the point he puts it on a reel. Nobody puts and
reel to
nobody
reel.
ever put right.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like how he says, I don't like how my voice sounds on a cassette tape or a CD. It messes up my vocals. So he just puts it on a reel, and nobody in those days in the 90s will actually play your stuff on a reel. This makes it even more funny and comical because he's actually trying to, it's like handing in a vinyl record with your demo.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck do you want me to do with this? Is basically what, but you know, I like how we get introduced, like you said, to the girlfriend with Kayla, and they're basically, Kayla is basically busting her ass, working, paying rent, and Chaz is over there with his shirt off, watching Aerosmith. Jamie's got a gun, just living the rock and roll
air
dream.
guitaring shirtless on the couch, and he's like, "You know what I've been through today? Like you left for 30 minutes to break into a record player or a record company." I love how quickly they're like, "Oh, hi," and then it's just like, bah, 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 like just immediately start fighting. And then it, like, I don't know. I think their relationship's super toxic, and it's like something that doesn't hold up is how he talks to her and how he treats her and how she treats him. Like, looking back at it as an adult, I'm like, wow, they should not be dating. Like,
no, this is like an Eminem and Kim relationship. Is basically what it is. You know?
And then he's like, you know, when I get rich, you'll have a free ride. I'll treat you like gold. It's like, dude, you're homeless pretty much. Like, shut up. Get a job, man. But all right.
But yeah, then you also have that other thing too, where he's like, well, I'm gonna go on ahead and live with my friends. So he goes over to the toy store.
Yeah. I love
how they're just goofing off. Like his other friend has a job, but it's like he just doesn't care about it.
He then gives Adam Sandler's character Pip crap for having a job. When they leave, he's like, how many practices have you missed because you're cleaning up some dude's pool? And it's like, that's his job.
Exactly. He's the only one who actually has a steady job and is able to make money.
They've been a band for about a year, and he's been with Kayla for like 6 months. Like, like you just expect stuff to happen. Like he's kind of they're kind of losers, and that's what I love about all of them. Like all three of them are kind of losers, and that's really great. And then of course, so then we go to his house where he's like stole all the stuff from the toy store, and then we meet the guns.
Oh yeah, the guns.
So putting hot pepper sauce into squirt guns is absolute genius. And I've always joked about doing it when I was like, hey, we should do that. But of course, getting sprayed in the face with pepper sauce is hell. No, but yeah, so that sets us up then for their like, and this movie moves that quick. Like it's moving quicker than us. We're 14 minutes in. They're already in the like radio station.
It does move fast. Like I remember watching this thinking that there's like a slow pace to it, but
absolutely
no,
not.
It's like okay, this is Chaz, this is his friends, he has problems with his woman, This is goofball friends, and then let's move on.
Yeah, let's get to, and then even before we get to the radio station, we skipped over where they all go and see a show. So we've already met Ian. We already met like the other record executive guy. I always forget that guy's name, but the guy
Rex?
who plays no, not is it Rex? Yeah, Rex is is Joe Montana's character, but the other dude, but anyways, so we already meet all those characters. So by the time we even make it into the radio station, we already kind of got like an overall of what's going on. Like the movie moves really, really quick. And then I love how they're constantly fighting each other too. Like when they're trying to bust in, like Steve Buscemi's Rex. Rex just runs up and just starts like, what are you ditching us? And just like starts slapping around Adam Sandler. Like they're always at each other's throats.
They are always at each other's throats. Yeah. And then and I don't know what Chaz was doing up top of the roof. Like he was going to go.
We're going to break
like go on to like Die Hard. Oh, just go ahead. Make a record deal. Have a couple of laughs. I'm just going to go ahead and get this signed.
Not only that, but they have this bag of whatever, and they're bringing that onto the roof. And then that just happens that he's able to, like, throw it down.
It just falls.
What's the bag? Yeah, what's the bag for?
Well, those are the guns, though.
I guess so. Yeah, those are the plastic guns. Yeah, you're right.
Right, because I like how he said these are the band guns that it looks so realistic. Watch, and then he also gives Adam Sandler some Crash dummies though too.
Yeah.
So it has like some nostalgic. But yeah, you're right though. But yeah, you're right though. It just falls down so neatly, and it just. And the girls over there are just like, "Oh, are you okay?" Not even questioning why he's even on the roof.
What he's doing. So yeah. Well, he's like leaning against the door. So when she opens it hits his nose, and then she's like, "Oh my god!" And then just goes and gets him ice and gives it to him. And then like they have a little connection there really quick, and that's how they're able to stop the door. And then they sneak in. So that's Susie. Don't let me get through without telling you my favorite Susie line, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But there's a whispered line that is so stupid funny from her later on.
Once inside though, layback DJ Ian, the shark, begins talking with them on the air. Station manager Milo overhears them and intervenes, but Ian continues broadcasting after Milo insults Rex by calling him Hollywood Boulevard trash. He and Chaz pull out a realistic-looking water pistols and demand airplay. After setting up an old reel-to-reel for the demo, the tape begins to play, but it is quickly destroyed when the player malfunctions. The guys try to turn, but Doug Beach, the station's accountant, had already called the police, and they see the building is surrounded. So, I like how, we're introduced to the DJ.
And Ian the Shark is so good too. I love just his whole, his whole shtick. Now, I want to talk about, so when they go in, the prissiness of the band, where they don't want to like name the genre they're in, but they name 30 things. It's like we're not speed, we're not thrash, none of that slap bass, more like a power slot, but with an entrance.
More like a power slash,
Yeah, but we don't want to put ourselves.
We don't want to be labeled or anything.
like they sound like when I was in third grade trying to come up with our band when all I'm doing is drawing our logo, but of course I don't have any instrument knowledge. Like that's what these guys like. I don't play it.
It's like you have a band just to pick up chicks and you don't play anything.
It's pretty much what these guys are. Can't wait to hear your brilliant song. So a throwback before Milo breaks in, or when Milo breaks in, so there's a throwback line when Rex originally puts the pepper sauce in the gun. He says, when some Hollywood Boulevard trash comes coming down the rainpipe, I'm gonna hit him with this. So he is above Hollywood Boulevard trash in his mind. So that's what Milo calls him when he flips. That is so subtle, and I love that. When he's immediately like, "You think I'm trash?" And then he grabs it and goes, "What do you think, you're better than me?" And I just, it's like this weird, subtle character development of this guy that, no, he has a job. He's trying to make his band work. Like, Rex is, what are you talking about? I'm trash? Like, I love that. That's what triggers him.
And also, too, he's so short of himself, though, too, to the point
Yeah.
where you believe him, like in his
Yeah.
own mind. He thinks that he's not, but really he is. So he's believing his own BS is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I definitely like that about him, though.
yeah.
And, you know, I also like how, like, whenever he swings when Milo swings the microphone, like you said, when he's just basically trying to, basically wonder what kind of genre they are and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
When
And the
Ian
next thing you
does, when
know,
Ian, yeah.
and then all of a sudden you see Rex walking and goes, "Well, show's over, guys."
Yeah. I'm sorry, you've now got the characters mixed up 3 times. So Milo is the dude with the pony nub. Rex
Yeah,
is
Rex.
is Steve Buscemi's character, and
Right.
Milo is and then it's
Yeah.
Ian. Yeah, sorry.
Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, we went a triangle there, but yeah.
Sorry about that.
So, no,
But
it's
we're
all
right
good.
back.
You're confusing me. I'm trying to follow you. But yeah, so Ian throws the microphone. Once they go through it, then Milo goes in and cuts it all up, and that's when he calls Rex trash. And I love meeting everybody. Can we talk about freaking character actors? Like
Yeah.
Doug Beach is Michael Richards, who at the time this is during Seinfeld. Like this
Yeah.
is prime Seinfeld. Like holy crap! And then of course Joe Mantegna playing Ian the Shark, and Milo. I always forget the guy's name. Don something. I always forget his name, but he was all around in the 90s. And then you got freaking what's his name? David Arquette is just like a dude who works there, and he's like 19-year-old. This dude's young. So when they come in with the gun and pull him, he's having just this great, I'm assuming, improv conversation with this guy, like, what's she like on the Clydesdale scale?
What's she like, man? Like the surfer boy.
That's how many Clydesdales it takes to tear off your face. Like, what is he even? and I like, so he grabs it. Chaz grabs him and puts a gun to him and just goes, "Serious?" Yeah, as you just chase him out. Oh my god, the side characters are so freaking good. I'm gonna kill myself if I don't remember all of them. So I'm gonna kill them all right now.
But yeah, you have Pip, who's actually Adam Sandler. You have Chaz, who is Brendan Fraser. You have Steve Buscemi as Rex, and then you also have David Arquette as Carter.
Yeah.
And Doug Beach, played by Michael Richards.
And then Michael McKean is Milo, and that's the one that was killing me.
Yeah.
And then it's Reggie Cathy is playing Marcus. So it's this really interesting character when they meet him. He's like playing music. I don't know what he does at the station, but this dude's like that, mid-90s in LA. Rodney King just happened, and he's that very screw the white man, and that's like his entire character, which is slightly problematic. I think that he might have a little bit more of a personality than just screw the white man, but you get those really good interaction between him and Rex, where Rex tells him to shut his pie hole, and he's like, "What's that? Some cracker slang?" Like, that's a pretty funny line. And then when Adam Sandler's character Pip tries to relate to him, but of course he just sounds like the biggest idiot. Like, "Hey man, I saw Anthrax with Public Enemy. Catch that, G?" And he's like, "Don't call me G. Get on." It just makes them all look so stupid.
It really does, and I love Adam Sandler. I love Pip. Pip is probably one of my favorites.
He's the
Pip is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Chicks, man, they flock on it. Yeah. So that's I think that's about when I think we're caught up. So
then that's when the tape mom functions, and then he's like, "What the hell, man? And then next thing you know it, the DJ's cigarette winds up catching it on fire.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "What's the next plan? Run!" So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then this is when we meet the dude who is later in Grandma's Boy, and there's this great physical comedy of Adam Sandler walking out and the cop, and then when he takes a step, the cop takes a step, so then he takes a step back, so the cop does a step back, and then he kind of messes with him, and then he does some Adam Sandler stuff.
Yeah, I love how he just moves. The cop moves with him. He moves another way, and he goes,
and then he's
Do like Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, and then the dude puts his hand on his gun and goes, "Let me in." And the line he goes, "I don't want to go to jail, man. I'm fragile."
Oh, I'm fragile. I don't want to go to jail.
That's when they round everybody up, and we meet Susie again. The cop that shows up, who's in charge, is Ernie frickin' Hudson. Like, this is the most '90s character actor stacked movie. Like, it's so good, and of course, Chris Farley as a bit part. Like,
right, as a cop, as
bit
Wilson.
part. He's not a main character at all.
No.
Like, he's just there.
It's like an SNL skit if you think about it, on how they have these characters set up. Yeah. And I just love how they have all these characters set up in a certain way, and they don't overtake the scene. They're just there to amplify the comedy, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah. Well, and you can't give Chris Farley a small part. Like, you just couldn't. Like, he, with those 4 lines, he's going to just kill it with his physical comedy. Later on, he's got some really good physical comedy. But yeah. So now that's when cops are all around and they're just starting to round everybody up.
Right.
What do we got next on your
in my notes? Okay, so they negotiate with the police, who are now tasked to find Kayla, because remember, Chaz winds up telling him, find Kayla. She has another tape of the demo. So since the stations never went off the air, news of the hostage crisis travels quickly, and numerous hard rock metal fans begin showing up outside the radio station, interfering with the police. SWAT team has also arrived, whose leader prefers using force over negotiation tactics. His team secretly passes a gun through a roof vent to Beach, who has been hiding in the air ducts during the crisis. It is revealed that Milo had secretly signed a deal to change KPPX's format to the adult basically a soft rock group, rock station, which includes having a Fireland and most of the other employees when this comes out. Yeah.
So that's actually set up really early on. Before we even get to the radio station, you see him, Milo, in a scene with Doug Beach where he talks about how, it's going to be a really busy week and this and that. And then, there's a joke about Doug Beach having hemorrhoids or whatever. And then, and then it moves on. But yeah, when that pays off later on, it's when you really start to see characters start to side with the armed assailants,
because now they become, what's the word I'm thinking of whenever the hostages winds up being friends with
Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
This is like very light Stockholm syndrome. I don't want to make light of a very serious thing. I
like how
that people
just like the other thing that we said at Gen V, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, the first conversation too with Ernie Hudson. Actually, I don't want to skip this many scenes.
No. We're not gonna, all I'm doing is just breaking down each thing.
I was just about to.
And going back to it.
So the first conversation with Ernie Hudson, there's already that line forming up. But it's the first time you see, he goes out there, talks to Ernie, and then on his way back, and he goes, get the tape, blah, 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 blah. And then he's like acting really, Ixnay, dude, I already tried that. You're going to have to go find her. Like, he's like, Chaz is acting differently when he talks.
Yeah, because he's trying to act all macho in front of the guys.
He's acting really cool.
Right.
Hey, man. I also love I got my rhythm section inside, keeping an eye on me, and Pip's just like, got my rhythm section, keep an eye on me. That's
not even trying to aim or anything. He's just over there just.
Yeah, it's so good. So on his walk back is when he jumps up on the trash can and goes, oh, and it gets and that's when you see that they want to get the crowd riled, because even at the end of the day, they're performers. They want people to cheer.
This is actually their WWE. This is their house. They turned the radio station into
their concert. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The whole thing. He's the front man. And when he sees the crowd, and then also, later when they're talking on the radio, and that's why they're like, yeah, woo, like, is everyone having a good time? Like, they're really trying to rile everybody up.
Also, too, we forgot to mention, too, whenever Chaz and them are talking about the different genres of music that they are supposedly they don't want to be part of. Kayla is over there listening to walks out of this convenience store and she hears a bit of Chaz and she just looks at it with disgust and then walks out.
He's talking about his relationship with Kayla.
Yeah.
No, she's not what you think. She's actually really smart. She's like, no way.
Yeah, really Kayla goes through. She's really great.
Kayla has her own movie through the whole thing. Right. Like she's alone for most of it. She doesn't come back until third act, and we just keep running into her in the tape getting destroyed. Yeah, it's so good. But so when he comes back, he agrees to put out one hostage, and I love the line of like, all right, we got to release somebody. And Pip goes, I'll go. It's like, one of the hostages, Goof. He's like, oh yeah, sorry.
Oh yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay.
Somebody's got to go inside. I'll go.
Like, well, he said somebody. He didn't.
And then he pitches Yvonne to go, and there's this awesome line where Milo goes, I don't know why we should automatically choose a woman. It's kind of sexist. And then he like, oh, maybe we could draw straws. And the whole time Chaz is like, yeah. And then without breaking eye contact, he's like, Yvonne, get out of here. You'll be in time home, or you'll be home in time for The Simpsons. And yeah, that's when they let Yvonne go. And the coming back is when Doug Beach sees he's up in the air thing, and Rex starts teaching him how to treat the hostages.
Right.
It's got to be one of the best scenes of like.
Another thing though too is also too the SWAT team captain is also talking to him and basically talking about how. Now I find it funny that Pip is also a pool cleaner.
Yep.
His wife left him for a pool cleaner. He goes, who the hell does that?
Was possibly sleeping with one.
Right. Supposedly
we don't actually know if they were. Yeah.
But no, I just thought it was funny. I'm like, did Pip do something to this police officer?
That's what I was possible that Pip is banging the SWAT team's wife, which you can look at it two ways. You can look at it that way, or you can look at it this dude who was just so paranoid that some other guy was over there that he throws away his entire relationship. And then just because Pip happens to be a pool cleaner,
right?
He's like, I'm gonna get you a gun, Beach. Like we gotta get Michael Richards a gun. What, a gun? Yeah, that's affirmative.
You were a soldier, huh? You were a soldier, son, huh? Yeah, I was a Marine. Oh, you did,
but I was accountant. Yeah. Oh, you can't be held accountable. I also love how much of a pathetic character Doug Beach is. Like, you want to call home? I don't have a home. I have a condo. Like, you just has like no life.
This is like Kramer if he was like rich. That's basically what he is. What his character is, if you think about it.
Poor Doug Beach. So Rex teaching Adam Sandler how to be like aggressive. Be like, all right, pretend that's one of the hostages. Okay, get over there, please. Thank you.
Everyone, get over there, please. Get on the floor, please. Get on the floor. And Rex is like, no, not like that. Here. Get down on the damn floor now.
No, Rex yells, it's going to be a firehouse in here with dead babies flying through the air like rain dolls on fire. Like, whoa. Oh, my God. It's fantastic. I do have to give it out for Steve Buscemi. He's so good. And as Rex, and you kind of forget, because also he's got that long hair. He doesn't really look the way Steve Buscemi normally looks. And you kind of forget that's, like Mr. Pink, like you kind of forget that that's Steve Buscemi. And, and when, of course, he does the same thing Chaz does. So when they release Yvonne, he like goes out there and yells, we're partying here. Woo! We got all kinds of beer. And that was the thing I used to yell during parties is we're partying. We got all kinds of beer. And no one got the reference.
You and I would actually be good together at a party, though, I think, because you and I would be throwing out a lot of movie references.
No one would be getting them.
No, they wouldn't. But let's see here. Then we also talked about, during the crisis, it was revealed that Milo was secretly... Okay, so now we find out that Milo is secretly changing the radio station over into a soft rock station. They're also getting rid of the staff as well.
So here's the line. So in this scene, when Milo tells everybody he goes, "Oh, so we're gonna go soft rock." This is vulgar. I apologize ahead of time, but
No,
we're
don't.
gonna go soft rock and blah blah blah, and we're forced to restaff. And you hear Susie whisper, "All those blowjobs for nothing." It's this tiny little. If you don't know it's there, you miss it. It's so funny because you're like, "Oh, poor Susie."
You know what's funny though? I actually had the closed captions and I didn't hear it until tonight.
Oh,
And I'm like, wait.
Wait, what? Oh, poor Susie with 2 Z's blowing Milo, and then she gets fired. What a jerk!
That's a look. If there was a punchable face in this, it would be him.
Oh yeah, Milo
Seriously.
certainly. There's a little bit of catharsis when Rex pulls his little pony nub. Where I'm like, yeah.
And he's also showing the shorts that they're going to be wearing.
Yeah.
Too. Because what the hell is that? That's shorts.
You know, pants with little legs.
Because I'm not wearing that shit. He goes, well, there's something else I got to tell you. What? We're gonna have to restaff. What?
All those blowjobs for nothing.
Those for nothing.
Yeah. I also like when they're talking about music, and then Rex goes, "You got a whole crate of Kenny G CDs, and you're talking trash." That's a thing that I've said to somebody. Like, well, you probably listen to Kenny G. What, you talking trash? Like you're just calling somebody a pussy.
Right.
But he actually did find a crate of CDs. And yeah, that's when you get the division there between Milo and Ian, which then causes Ian to go over to the side of the Lone Rangers. And then, of course, Susie having a crush on Milo, she then flips too. So the last two is like you got freaking David Arquette's character and then Marcus, but there's also like a blink and you miss it David Arquette scene when they're like joking around and like by themselves, like the band is, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we should get this," and they're all like making a joke, and then he just walks by like, "You guys are all crazy. You're all like, woohoo!" And then they just stare at him blankly, and then he like. It's just like,
I love David Arquette in this though. He has that beach. He has just that beach vibe of that lazy. It's just perfect, and it works for him.
Some dad, like his dad, got him a job. Like he didn't earn that gig. You know?
And he's just one of those people on the staff that will just call somebody randomly. I could just see Milo go, "Hey, look, we need you to go on ahead and try to book some bands," and then just have like a random conversation about something that doesn't even have anything to contain the music. Hey, did you manage to book? No, they were busy. I could just see. Did you get in touch with them? No, but I did have an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I talked to one of their roadies, man. He was a really cool dude. He's been watching Lone Ranger lately, and so have I. And he's a really great guy.
It was like really gnarly, man. Yeah, man.
Oh my god. I wonder what the heck he does there.
Me too.
Because we know Susie is she answers the phones when somebody is winning concert tickets or whatever. But what is, and then I don't know what Marcus is doing either. It's like Marcus and friggin' David Arquette's character. I'm not sure what their jobs are at the radio.
I think it was like I said. I think he was just some slacker that the parents said, "Hey, look, you need to get a job, son, or you're getting kicked. Your ass is getting kicked out of the house."
He's like, I always thought that they were related, him and Ian, because when Ian tackles after he finds out he's being laid off, he tackles Milo. And he goes, "Ah!" like David Arquette yells. I had to watch it in subtitles. I flipped subtitles on to see if he says it. Because growing up, I always thought he went, "Dad!" like he was calling Rex. Not Rex, sorry. Ian
Milo?
the Shark. Not Milo.
Ian,
his dad. But it's not. Like he just goes, "Ah!" So I don't know why that noise, but so I don't. Yeah, it really makes you wonder how he got that job or what he's even doing. Just calling around. "Hey, I heard you got Anthrax playing. You guys got some concert tickets we can use?" Oh, cool. Like maybe whatever his gig is.
All right. So scene 4: the police find Kayla, who arrives at the radio station to deliver the tape. She and Chaz get into an argument, which escalates quickly, resulting in the studio to console being destroyed. Dashing any hope to play the tape on the air. But I love how they find her at a Rob Zombie concert.
Okay, well, for one, White Zombie,
White
recognize.
Zombie, yeah, White Zombie.
Watch yourself.
Well,
Big
hey,
difference.
I love White Zombie though too, but I
I love
forgot that this
both.
was
Yeah, I love that they get actual White Zombie playing at the whiskey. Like, again, this feels like such a pre-Nirvana. Like, you got your White Zombie, Pantera, and Motorhead. Like, that's the weird window of really good or hard rock we got, and I love it so much. But yeah, so Chris Farley is sent out to get her, and yeah, I love the advice that Brendan Fraser just says, like, oh, where can we find her? And he goes, I don't know. She's probably trying to strip somewhere. Maybe the whiskey. And then he goes to the whiskey. He looks around, and then he ends up giving up and walking over to the bar. And that's when Chris Farley sees her. So you get some really good physical comedy of a dude getting up into his face, and he rips the dude's freaking nipple ring out.
Right, because remember what he does, right? Like he sees, right? Because the two guys sees Farley just putting Kayla back down, like pushing her back down on the seat, and he goes, "Okay, we got to improvise." So they take his badge off. Then they wind up eating the badge and then throwing it down. And then
what are you going to do about
Wilson
that?
Says, right.
Pulls his nipple ring out. I do find it funny that, again, different time, like there's police brutality as a punchline. Like, I feel like 90s you could do that, where you have like a cop hurting somebody in a public place for no reason, and it's funny. But yeah, it's sorry to get a little heavy, but it is probably the only time where I laugh at a cop just tearing somebody's nipple ring out, and then he walks away out casually. Yeah,
but I like how he looks at Kayla though. He goes, "Paul," he goes, "Hey, look, you gotta come with me." Yeah. Chaz is down at the radio station, and he needs you. He needs your tape. Where is it? She goes walking down the street. Yeah. This thing has been run over. It's been pissed on by a dog.
Peed on, kicked around by a bunch of kids. I do like how he greets her. Like, he just goes, you imagine if you're looking for somebody? That's how he greets and just yells her name in her face, as only Chris Farley can. I wonder what was written on the page, because you know it wasn't screams maniacally, but Chris Farley's like, you're okay. Like, he just...
Because he always gets that over-the-top excitement. Kayla, hey, you need to come with me.
There's a situation down at Rebel Radio. We gotta have to bring you in. No, listen.
No, listen. Seriously, Chaz is down at the radio station.
He's so good.
He really is.
If he's getting bail money, you can forget it. No. Yeah, no, that's good. And yeah, in the whole time, White Zombie's playing in the background. And
I geeked out because, okay, you're gonna laugh at me for this, okay? So I was reviewing
the Gods by White Zombie. It's an awesome song. All right, keep going.
Well, get this. I was actually reviewing Serial Mom, and I remember there was a concert being played in Serial Mom. And I got this movie mixed up with Serial Mom, thinking that White Zombie was playing on Serial Mom, but it wasn't. It was actually a different band. So I just thought it was... I'm like, so I actually switched the band.
Maybe it's also at the Whiskey, which was like, like the LA, like...
Right.
But
yeah.
That's awesome.
So... but yeah, you're right about Chaz. He goes, Kayla, and it's like he hasn't seen her in months or years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good. So
but yeah, now we're going into this other part though.
So go ahead. I think the next scene that we're talking about is when they're getting in all that stuff, and so the lead up to that is them all pitching what they actually want as instruments, but they're adding in psycho crazy stuff so they can
bleed insanity.
They can claim insanity later. So
I love B. Arthur.
Yeah. The naked pictures of B. Arthur, outstanding. It's Judd Nelson, by the way. Oh yeah, Judd Nelson, outstanding. And then there's is it like a football helmet filled with cottage cheese, a giant baby bottle. And then there's the line where it's like 100 copies of Moby Dick. And she goes, the movie or the book? And he goes, they made a book out of that?
The book.
Yeah, the book. Like, as if the book is second. I love how our main characters are so stupid. And we're about to get into the third act. So before that, I wanted to just kind of touch some of the one-liners because you have a lot of them talking to the audience, and then we get a call from Beavis and Butthead, which of course is so 90s. And it's actually, you got Mike Judge doing that, and it's so cool with like how they actually get, you're the Lone Rangers, right? You guys suck.
You guys suck.
Yeah. Oh my God. I grew up watching Beavis and Butthead, so
me too.
Yeah, totally loved that little cameo. But so I'm guessing next you're saying they're bringing in all the stuff, and this is when the SWAT guy calls him out for being Chester, and she shows up at the same time.
Right. This is actually where basically the door shuts on Rex's plastic gun, revealing it is a fake gun. Seeing this, some of the hostages run out. One telling the SWAT team the band's guns aren't real. As the team assembles to storm the station, Beach corners the band from a low-hanging air vent. And I like how he just has his hand down, like in a horror movie.
Really heavy. Hey! Hey! No, move! He's got his face up against the grate.
And then you have, I forgot who was trying to hit his hand with
Ian takes the giant baby bottle they just got and knocks the gun out. So good. And then that's when you realize the flip that they have, where Ian's actually on their side now.
Right. And then Chaz is like, you have somebody on the inside? You said you were going to bring anybody in, man. What the hell?
The god's through the ceiling at me.
Man, I don't know what's going on. That's not one of our people. Well, tell them to say the shit back.
Yeah, I like or I'm going to start blasting, so help me. So he takes credit for just shooting madly at everybody. And that's when you get that really great physical comedy from Chris Farley when everybody's getting back up after they all duck from the guns. And then he stands up and he does that really great, like physical comedy, Chris Farley. Yeah, it's so good.
But yeah, this also causes the weapon to wildly fire several rounds, and the police are forced to back off. Ian picks up the gun, but gives it to somewhat confused Chaz in a final act of anti-establishment rebellion. And I like how Chaz just basically just shrugs it off. He goes, "Okay."
Well, I like that. Like, wow, that was really cool. And then all Ian goes is rock and roll.
He's like, it doesn't even at this point. Ian is like, it doesn't even fucking matter. I'm not going to have a job tomorrow.
My job. Yeah, screw this. Let's
why am I going to try and save someone that doesn't even care about me? So screw this.
Yeah.
And also too, I like how Rex is tied up the whole entire time too.
Or Milo.
Milo is tied up the whole entire time, and Pip and also the girl is also getting ready to have.
Yeah. I love her hitting on him, and he's like cluelessly, like she's like, "What are you thinking about?" And he's like, "Swimming pools." She's like, "Swimming pools, huh?" And she's like, just totally into it. And he's like, "Yeah, I wish I was in one. Be swirling around like an egg." Like he does.
And then
the hot girl just is miles away. She's right here, and he's not even noticing.
And then I also like how they're like, "Does that actually work?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's so dumb that that girls just fall for him."
I seem so stupid. I must be cute routine. Yeah, that actually work? Yeah, Pip gets his hands on more bumpers than a body shop.
Exactly. Oh my God! But
yeah,
and then it really is. I mean, you can laugh from start to finish with this movie.
There's so many good one-liners. Like we're skipping over a lot of the just straight blanket insults, but there's a lot of really good. Just you look like half a butt puppet. Like just a lot of really good one-liners. All right, so they shut down all the power. Everything's all shut off. The two guys get out. They start blasting. I can't remember the. Yeah, go ahead and talk because I'm forgetting the sequence of events of when Kayla shows up. Then.
Okay, so one other thing I want to mention though too that this is actually one of my other favorite lines in the movie though. He goes, "Okay, who are you guys? My name's Pip." Ian, the band name.
The band name.
Sorry about that. Oh. He doesn't wear a helmet.
He doesn't wear a helmet, does he? Yeah, like I said, one of those one-liners. He doesn't wear a helmet, does he?
No. So you were talking about Jimmy Wang, a self-serving record executive who had previously turned Chaz down. comes to the radio station and offers the band a contract. They reluctantly agree to the deal, knowing they have no more options. Wang arranges an entire stage and sound system to be airlifted to the roof where the band will play their song for the now huge crowd outside. To the band's dismay, they find only the PA is real and everything else is just props. Refusing to lip sync as their tape is played, they instead destroyed their instruments in protest of the delight of the crowd and stage dive into the hands of the sharing audience.
Yeah, there you go. So that's getting us up to the end. Yeah, so in there is when Kayla shows up, and then right as she's showing up, well, first, the director of the entire frickin' movie, Harold Ramis, tries to pretend to, and I believe it's his movie. Am I right? Like Harold Ramis directs, is the director. I'm like almost 100% sure.
Let's see here. Michael Lemmon is actually the director.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought Harold Ramis had something to do with it, but maybe
he was just there for like a little small cameo, I guess, because of the fact that we do have Ernie Hudson as one of the cops. So I guess they were like, okay, well, let's go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Lehman. Yeah, I thought Harold Ramis had something to do with it, but anyways, yeah, Harold Ramis. But I love. I don't want to jump over that because he's a cop trying to be a record executive. So they ask him rock and roll questions, and they're like, "Who did you take when the David Lee Roth Van Halen split?" And then when he goes Van Halen, they're like, "He's a cop." And then of course the trick question of who'd win in a wrestling match, Lemmy or God, and he goes Lemmy. And they're like, and he's like, God. It's like, trick question. Lemmy is God.
God.
Yeah. It's so good. So, again, I'm mixing. So when Kayla shows up is when we find out that Chaz is actually Chester Ogilvy. And, he shames him. Like, he gets shamed. And then as the SWAT guy's holding him, he brings that out. So Chaz has to apologize to like the entire heavy metal scene that he used to be a nerd. And that's when you have this great, like, dude, all heavy metal guys were nerds.
Like, right. I like how he says, I like D&D.
I like D&D too. And then you've got actual Lemmy, who they just talked about. He's the one who goes, oh, is that another school magazine? I'm like, oh, they got a cameo by Lemmy. And then
that was just awesome.
It's so good. And then there's one dude who just goes, I used to masturbate constantly.
He goes, what?
Not what we were talking about,
bro. Like, this is like group therapy session to get everything out of the open.
Everyone's like, I was a nerd. And he's like, I'm a sexual deviant. It's like, well, cool, but it's not what we're talking about. And then Rex is like, yeah.
And then you have Chaz going, Rodney King.
Yeah, which Rodney
because
King.
This guy knows what I'm talking about. Pointing to Ernie Hudson.
Yeah. Oh my god. That was a little earlier, but
right
when they're chanting Rodney King to get the power back on, we kind of got all jumbled. But that's when Marcus goes, Rodney King? What's that mean? And of course, Marcus knows who Rodney King is. He's just wondering why this white dude is chanting Rodney King at a black cop. So when he goes, Rodney King, what's that mean? And then Pip just goes, he's that guy. It's like you really think that a black dude from LA in the 90s doesn't know who Rodney King is?
Exactly. Everybody knew. Even if you're not from LA, you know.
Yeah, he's that guy. Yeah, that's another good one-liner. We keep having to go back and mention them. But
then
so everyone's yelling.
Like, we forgot to mention the fact. We forgot to mention too that whenever Chaz and also Kayla gets into an argument, and everything, that's when the tape breaks. Yeah. So she gives the tape to him, and it's all nasty. So they have to, he starts giving her crap, and then Chaz sides with Rex, and she just headbutts him in the nose, which is so great. And then he throws the insult back that she used on him in the first scene, where he's like, I wrote this song for you. And she goes, you wrote that song before you even met me. And then he flips it on her
when she's like, I'm part of this. That's my song. He's like, I wrote that song before I even met you. And then when he walks away, she can't be overdone. And she throws that freaking chair through the window onto the entire freaking board and just fries the board. It's such a, like, it's intense. Like, it's an oddly intense scene.
That whole entire scene is just intense the whole entire time that those two are together.
Mm-hmm.
And
not a good relationship.
No, definitely not a good relationship. But yeah, we also mentioned the fact that, you know, Wing arranges an entire stage too, because, and I like how Chaz is like, wait, at first he's actually really excited because they actually get the record deal.
Yeah, then, I was going to go back because we have to mention this. Yep. Go ahead.
And then, of course, wasn't it Pip that actually mentioned the fact that he didn't hear the whole entire song?
Yeah, Pip hasn't set up the radio yet, or the actual tape deck yet. So Wing hasn't heard it yet, and that's when you get this really great fight. But I'm going to go back to one last song mention. So there's this one more little montage where Chaz is like, hey, can you take care of all this? I just need to go clear my mind. And he just walks away. And that's when he shoots the pepper sauce into the burrito.
Yep.
And as they're all setting everything up and you got Milo talking with Jimmy Wing, you get unsatisfied by, I want to say it's the Replacements. I have it up. This is, by the Replacements. Because of this movie, this is one of my favorite, like, soft post-punk songs. It's a really good song. If you're just kind of needing that, if you're kind of in a little rough space, you need a little bit of melancholy, I absolutely suggest Unsatisfied by the Replacements. And I only know about it because of the spot they play it in the movie, and it's so good. It's probably my favorite song on this whole soundtrack, honestly.
So, but at that point, they're like, wait, all you heard, you haven't even heard anything. He goes, I heard it on the radio. Yeah, you heard it for like 5 seconds. I'm not signing this crap. He shoves it, and he goes, and he's like, look, you don't have any other options here. Either you go on ahead and sign it, or that's it.
I love Ian. He wipes his ass with his record contract. I love this guy.
Like he was a sports announcer. He's like, or for WWE. He's like
play by play. And that's when Jimmy's like, he's like, hey, I want to be a rock star, but I got to do it on my own terms. And Jimmy's like, dude, you are a star. We need to capitalize on this right now. Like, you, even though no one has heard any of your music, you need to now be protected. You are a rock star without anyone ever hearing your music. Like, it's this really crazy phenomenon. He's like, he's seeing dollar signs. Jimmy Wing's like seeing
Jimmy Wing is like Back to the Future when Marty McFly is on stage. Yeah. He's like, hey, have you heard of these guys? No. Well, guess what? Your kids are gonna love them.
Yeah. And well, because he's thinking of all the money and everything that. But then he throws up the protection. Like, you guys need the protection of a record label. And then he throws like, you think rock stars go to jail? And then he has that really great line of, Vince Neil only did 30 days and he killed somebody. Like, no, come on. So that's when then they bring in the stage, because he ends up convincing them, like, you already are a star with us or without us, and you need us now.
Exactly. And then, of course, this is also where he's like, well, how are we going to do this? He's like, watch this. He gets on the phone. He goes, they're crazy. They're threatening to kill me. They have more demands. And then, and here comes this giant military helicopter
carrying a huge stage. Oh my God. It does, like, you can easily tell it's CGI now, but I thought when I was a kid that there was actually a shot of them carrying this like 80-ton stage just over an audience of people, which of course
which is actually pretty cool though, back in those days though too, because it does look believable.
And it looks very believable. I remember when I was a kid, I never caught that was CGI. Like, now that I have a better eye for it, you can.
Me too.
But yeah, it's fantastic. And I then like and then it becomes the backstage of a concert. So then there's a bunch of people like putting them in makeup and like putting them in a different.
And then Pip has like the Zorro mask.
I feel kind of silly. You look like an idiot. Yeah.
And then,
Fantastic.
you know, then they find out that their instruments are actually props.
Yeah.
And they're pissed off. And then Rex says, "Look, this is what they do. This is all the big rock stars do. They lip sync to music videos. This is what they do.
Yeah.
You're not us, man. Not us. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Man. Yeah.
No, man. We're not." And then next thing you know, they start slamming the guitar. They start just going ham on every single instrument and destroys the stage.
Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, they go on Rockstar. Yeah, you have to. They have to end it that way. And I love the segue of all the audience like comes in and they're jamming out to the song that they're playing over, but then it segues to them in prison.
Yeah.
And then we finally get to hear the song, because this whole movie, you only hear like 5 seconds of the song and you never actually get to. And then right at the end, playing in jail, we finally get to hear the Lone Rangers hit signal, Degenerate. Yeah.
Right. The Lone Rangers are our next scene playing a gig inside the prison where they are incarcerated. The concert is being shown live on MTV. Ian now, their manager, says on the phone to the band, the band will start touring in 6 months or 3 months if they behave themselves. Their album Live in Prison goes triple platinum.
Mm-hmm. That's great. It's so campy yet awesome at the same time. Like, yeah, and it's such a good way to end. I do want to give a shout out to the song to Degenerate. Oh my god, now I'm screwing it. Yeah, so it's David Rimenstein and Paul Bacaccia. I can't say their name, but anyways, Regan Youth is the name of the band that actually played that. So it's not, they don't get any shout out in the actual thing because you think it's them who do it.
Right, an original piece.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, though, this is like an MTV movie. If you think about it, because you have the MTV News Press, you have you also have Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
This is like a love letter to music.
And it's that Gen X, like early 90s rock that just no one really talks about. And that's what I really love this as a like a love letter to like early 20s Gen Xers of like kind of really feeling no place in this world, like the generation before us when they were starting to get in their 20s and 30s and kind of being promised everything, but they don't have anything.
Right. Exactly.
And I really do love it as kind of like looking at it through that lines of being a kind of just like a forgotten little piece in time for a generation that is kind of a very small generation. Like, the boomers, very big, millennials, very big, Gen X is kind of just squeezed in there. and yeah. So I love this movie. And not only because I grew up in it, but I also grew up with this little bit of pop culture because I listened to music at a really young age and I kind of got into a lot of this stuff, and I watched movies at a really young age. So even though I'm not part of the Beavis and Butthead generation, I am, because I got into it really young. Like my wife, who's the same age, she didn't watch any of that because she was too busy watching, like Rugrats and Doug, like stuff she should have been watching. But
I was that too, but I also
but I was watching Beavis and Butthead too.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And but I love this movie. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff that's dated, but I how quick the pace is, what the premise is on its own. You can put this on for a lot of people and it's gonna get your attention. And I think it's a fantastic little 90s comedy that kind of got forgotten.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's going to be it as far as the show goes. I want to thank you, Taco, for joining me for this review. I'm hoping that we do more of these reviews together. If we just have to find the right one for us to be able to do it. But do you have anything coming out as far as your shows go or anything like that on Let's Talk About?
Something to talk about? Yeah. Well, I actually have a video coming out tomorrow. We got our Pokemon role-playing game We got the 26th episode of that coming out tomorrow. And then on Saturday, I cover A Song of Ice and Fire characters, so the Game of Thrones books. So I have a video for a little character named Longspear Rick is coming out Saturday. And yeah, I'm covering 2 vids a week, at least for the rest of the year. And I have almost all of them filmed all the way throughout the end of the year. So.
Oh, nice, man. Nice.
Yeah, working hard.
But yeah, Don will be on my show on Saturday, and we're doing like an audio only podcast. This is only going to be part of the Patreon, and it's going to be released on Wednesdays.
Ooh.
And we're actually going to be doing our intermission episode, and our intermission episode is going to be the Marshall Mathers LP album review.
Nice. Good.
So we're going back in time, talking about what it was like for us to listen to the very first, second album from Marshall Mathers. So we're going to be doing that on Saturday. So go ahead, keep an eye out, because every Wednesday you're going to get an intermission episode. And then, of course, that's going to be on the Patreon later on or so. So with further ado, that's going to be it as far as this show goes. Thank you again, Taco. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah,
and keep on rocking. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night, and we'll catch you guys later.